The large glass chamber felt cold. Jack Sullivan stood in the center, looking up at the alien judges. They sat high above him on floating platforms. Each judge came from a different world. Some had scales, others had tentacles. One looked like living crystal. The crystal judge spoke first. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. The Galactic Council has made its decision about the human race. Jack had been Earth's ambassador for 5 years. He knew this meeting would be bad. For months, the Council had complained about humans. They said humans had too many children. They built too many ships. They asked too many questions. Lisa Martinez stood next to Jack. She was Earth's defense chief. Her hands were tight fists at her sides. She wanted to speak, but the rules said she had to stay quiet. Humans refuse to follow our population limits, said a judge with blue skin and 6 eyes. You breed faster than any approved species. Another judge, covered in gray fur, added, your technology grows too quickly. You ignore our safety rules. You take risks that endanger the galaxy. Jack had heard these complaints before. What the aliens called dangerous, humans called progress. What they called chaos, humans called creativity. The crystal judge raised a thin arm. The room became silent. By unanimous vote, humanity is exiled from Council space. You are banished to the Outer Rim. The words hit Jack like a punch. The Outer Rim was the worst place in the galaxy. Pirates lived there. Criminals hid there. No law existed past the rim border. You have 1 year, the crystal judge continued. All humans must leave Council worlds. Any human found in our space after the deadline will be arrested and sent to the rim by force. Jack finally spoke. Your Honor, we have 3 billion people on 40 worlds. Moving them all is impossible. That is your problem, said the 6-eyed judge. We have spoken. Lisa grabbed Jack's arm. Her nails dug into his skin. He knew she was fighting the urge to shout at the judges. A small green judge leaned forward. You brought this on yourselves. You could have obeyed our rules. You could have slowed your growth. You chose not to. We chose freedom, Jack said quietly. The crystal judge made a sound like breaking glass. Freedom has a price. You will now pay it. This meeting is over. The platforms carrying the judges floated away. Jack and Lisa stood alone in the huge chamber. Outside the windows, alien ships patrolled the station. Each ship was bigger than any human vessel. They planned this, Lisa said when they were alone. They were always going to exile us. Jack nodded. They fear us. We adapt too fast. We learn too quickly. We don't fit their perfect order. Lisa turned to face him. What do we tell Earth? The truth, Jack said. We tell them to start packing. Every human in Council space has to move to the Outer Rim. The Rim will kill us, Lisa said. That's what they want. They're sending us there to die. Jack walked to the window. He looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was the Outer Rim. The Council thought it would be humanity's grave. Maybe, Jack said. Or maybe they just gave us the whole galaxy. Lisa joined him at the window. You really think we can survive out there? Humans have survived ice ages. We've survived plagues. We've survived wars that nearly ended our species. Jack smiled for the first time that day. The Council just made their biggest mistake. What's that? They tried to kill us with exile. But humans are never more dangerous than when we're cornered. In the distance, a human ship prepared to jump to hyperspace. It would carry news of the exile to Earth. 3 billion people would soon learn their fate. The greatest migration in human history was about to begin. The Council thought they were solving a problem. They were actually starting a revolution. Captain Kevin Foster stood on the bridge of the colony ship Horizon. Through the front windows, he watched thousands of smaller ships leaving the planet below. Each ship carried families who had lived there for generations. Now they were refugees. Sir, that's the last group from New London, said Emma Rodriguez, his navigation officer. She pointed at her screen. All civilians from Sector 7 are now in space. Kevin nodded. 6 months had passed since the Council exiled humanity. In that time, humans had done something impossible. They had organized the largest evacuation in galaxy history. 3 billion people were moving from 40 worlds to the unknown dangers of the Outer Rim. The bridge door opened. Admiral Susan Gray walked in. She commanded the entire evacuation fleet. Her uniform was wrinkled from days without sleep, but her eyes were sharp. "Status report, Captain," she asked. "New London is empty, Admiral. All colonists are aboard transport ships. We're ready to begin the jump to hyperspace." Susan studied the tactical display. Green dots showed human ships. Red dots marked Council patrol vessels watching from a distance. The aliens wanted to make sure humans really left. "Any problems with the Kepler colony?" she asked. "None," Kevin replied. "They finished loading yesterday. Even took their farms apart and packed the equipment." Emma spoke up. "Admiral, I'm getting reports from the outer colonies. They've managed to strip the mining facilities. Took every piece of valuable equipment." A small smile crossed Susan's face. "Good. We're not leaving anything useful for the Council." Kevin understood the strategy. Humans weren't just evacuating. They were taking everything. Factories, laboratories, even entire buildings had been disassembled and loaded onto cargo ships. What they couldn't take, they destroyed. "The Council won't be happy," Kevin said. "Let them complain." Susan replied. "They wanted us gone. They didn't say we had to leave our property." Through the windows, the planet below looked empty. Cities that once held millions now stood silent. Farms that fed entire systems were abandoned. It was strange to see a human world so quiet. "Admiral," Emma called. "I'm picking up a message from the Council observer ship." "Put it through," Susan ordered. A harsh alien voice filled the bridge. "Human vessels, you are behind schedule. The Council demands faster evacuation." Susan grabbed the communication device. "This is Admiral Gray. We're moving 3 billion people. If the Council wants it done faster, they can help." "The Council does not assist exiles," the voice replied. "You have 6 months remaining. Do not test our patience." The connection closed. Susan handed back the device. Her face was calm, but Kevin saw anger in her eyes. "They're enjoying this," she said quietly. "Yes, Admiral. They want to watch us struggle." Susan walked to the main screen. It showed the positions of all human ships. Hundreds of vessels, from huge colony ships to small personal crafts. It was the largest fleet ever assembled. "Captain Foster, send the signal to all ships. Begin jump preparation." Kevin pressed the fleet-wide communication button. "All vessels, this is the horizon. Prepare for hyperspace jump in 10 minutes. Repeat, 10 minutes to jump." The organized chaos began. Ships moved into formation. Navigation computers sensed their calculations. Engineers made final system checks. Emma counted down. 5 minutes to jump. Kevin thought about what they were leaving behind. Humans had spent 200 years building these colonies. Now they were abandoning everything because alien judges feared human progress. 2 minutes to jump. Susan stood straight, hands behind her back. "We're not running away," she said to the bridge crew. "We're starting something new. The Council thinks the Outer Rim will kill us. They're wrong. 1 minute to jump." Kevin gripped his chair. The Outer Rim waited. Pirates, criminals, and unknown dangers. But also freedom. No Council rules. No population limits. No technology restrictions. 10 seconds. The stars began to blur. Space twisted as the hyperspace engines engage. Jump. The human fleet vanished from Council space. Behind them, they left empty worlds and confused aliens. Ahead waited the Outer Rim and humanity's real test. The exodus had begun. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace near Terminus Station. Amy Chen, standing on the bridge of the diplomatic ship Unity, got her first look at the outer rim. It was nothing like Council space. Terminus Station was ugly. Metal pieces stuck out at odd angles. Different sections were painted different colors. Ships of all shapes and sizes docked wherever they could fit. Some ships looked ready to fall apart. "Commander Chen," said her pilot, Tony Wells, "I'm detecting over 100 ships around the station. None match any known designs." Amy nodded. "The rim has its own rules. These people build what works, not what looks pretty." She had trained for this moment. As humanity's lead diplomat to the rim, her job was to make first contact with whoever ran this place. Reports said the Korthak Syndicate controlled Terminus Station. The Korthaks were giant reptiles known for violence and greed. "Open a channel to the station," Amy ordered. A rough voice answered immediately. "Unknown ships, you enter Korthak space. State your business or be destroyed." Amy kept her voice calm. "This is Commander Amy Chen of the Human Refugee Fleet. We seek permission to dock and trade." There was a long pause. Then the voice spoke again. "Humans, the soft species from the core. You are exiles now." "Yes, the Galactic Council banished us to the outer rim." "Wait." Amy looked at her crew. They were all nervous. Behind them, dozens of human ships waited for her signal. If this went wrong, they might have to fight immediately. The voice returned. "Boss Vex wants to meet you. Dock at Platform 9. Come alone. No weapons." "Understood," Amy replied. She turned to her security chief, Dan Carter. "I'm going in alone." "Commander, that's crazy," Dan protested. "The Korthaks eat their enemies." "They also respect strength," Amy said. "Showing fear will get us all killed." 20 minutes later, Amy walked through Terminus Station's dirty corridors. The air smelled like oil and something rotting. Aliens of all types washed her pass. Most had never seen a human before. She reached a large room filled with smoke. In the center sat the biggest reptile she had ever seen. Boss Vex was 3 times her height, covered in black scales. His teeth were like daggers. "So," Vex said, his voice like grinding rocks, "the mighty humans come begging to the rim." Amy stood straight. "We come as equals, not beggars." Vex laughed. The sound hurt her ears. "Equals? You were thrown out like garbage. What can garbage offer the Korthak?" This was the test. Amy had studied Korthak culture. They respected only strength and profit. She had to prove humans had both. "We offer technology," she said. "Better weapons, faster ships, medical equipment that actually works." "The Council has better technology," Vex replied. "Why should we care about yours?" Amy smiled. "Because the Council bans the good stuff. They keep the dangerous technology locked away. But we're not in Council space anymore." Vex leaned forward. His yellow eyes studied her. "What kind of dangerous technology?" "Adaptive shields that learn from each hit. Weapons that can punch through any armor. Engines that run on dark matter." "You lie," Vex snarled. "Humans are weak. The Council says so." Amy reached into her pocket slowly. She pulled out a small device and set it on the table. It was a human plasma knife, illegal in Council space. "Try it," she said. Vex picked up the tiny device. He pressed the button. A blade of pure energy appeared, cutting through the metal table like paper. His eyes went wide. "This is just a tool," Amy said. "We have much better weapons." Vex turned off the knife. He looked at Amy with new respect. "Perhaps humans are not so soft." "We're not," Amy agreed. "And we're looking for trading partners, not masters." Vex stood. Even sitting, he had been huge. Standing, he was terrifying. "You interest me, human. Your people may dock. We will trade. But cross the Korthak, and we will feast on your bones." "Understood," Amy said. "We prefer to be friends." As she left, Amy heard Vex talking to his guards. "Watch the humans carefully. They might be more dangerous than the Council knows." Outside, Annie smiled. First contact was successful. The Outer Rim had just learned that humans were full of surprises. Dr. Paul Johnson stepped out of the shuttle onto the dead world. The ground was gray dust. The sky was brown with poison clouds. The other scientists behind him checked their air masks. Without the masks, they would die in minutes. "This is our new home?" asked Dr. Maria Santos, the team's geologist. "It looks worse than Mars." Paul checked his scanner. "The whole system is like this. 6 planets, all dead. The Council database says they've been abandoned for 1,000 years. They had arrived 3 months after the first meeting with the Cortex. While diplomats and traders worked at Terminus Station, exploration teams searched for a place to build humanity's new home. They called it New Terra, but so far it was just empty space and dead rocks." "Why did we pick this system?" Maria asked. "Because nobody else wants it," Paul replied. "No pirates, no other species claims it. And look at this." He pointed at his scanner screen. "These radiation signatures are strange, not natural." The team spent the day collecting samples. The dust contained unusual metals. The rocks showed signs of extreme heat damage. Something violent had happened here long ago. That night, at the base camp, Paul studied the data. His assistant, Ben Taylor, worked beside him. "This doesn't make sense," Ben said. "The radiation patterns look artificial, like weapon damage, but much more advanced than anything we know." Paul nodded. "Keep working. I want to check something." He walked to the edge of camp, where Maria was using deep scan equipment to map underground structures. She looked excited. "Paul, you need to see this. There's something huge beneath us, about 2 kilometers down." Paul looked at her screen. The scanner showed massive structures underground. Tunnels, chambers, and something that looked like buildings. But that was impossible. This world had been dead for centuries. "We need to dig," Paul said. It took a week to set up the drilling equipment. The human ships in orbit sent down robots and machines. Slowly, carefully, they dug through the dead planet's crust. On the 8th day, they broke through into a vast underground chamber. Paul was the first one down. What he saw changed everything. The chamber was huge, like an underground city. Strange machines lined the walls. In the center sat something that looked like a giant computer. Everything was covered in dust, but seemed intact. "How old is this?" Ben asked over the radio. Paul checked his scanner. "At least 5,000 years. Maybe older. But look at the design. This is more advanced than anything in Council space." Over the next month, more humans arrived. Engineers, computer experts, and synorchaeologists came to study the discovery. They found similar ruins on all 6 planets in the system. Dr. Helen Park, the lead computer scientist, made the biggest breakthrough. She managed to activate part of the ancient system. "It's incredible," she told Paul. "This technology is beyond anything I've ever seen. Self-repairing systems, quantum processors that still work after millennia. And the database is huge." "What kind of database?" Paul asked. "Everything. Star maps, scientific data, construction blueprints. It's like they wanted to preserve their entire civilization." Admiral Susan Gray arrived to see the discovery herself. She stood in the main chamber, looking at the alien machines. "Can we use this technology?" she asked Paul. "Better than that," Paul replied. "We can learn from it. Improve it. The Council has no idea this exists." Susan smiled. "Good. Start bringing more people down. Real colonists, not just scientists." "The surface is still dead," Paul reminded her. "Then we fix it," Susan said. "We have ancient technology now. Terraforming machines that make Council equipment look like toys. These builders conquered death itself to preserve their knowledge. We can bring life back to these worlds." Paul looked around the chamber. Humans were already connecting their computers to the alien systems. Engineers studied the construction robots. In months, they had found something that changed the game completely. The Council had exiled humanity to die. Instead, humans had found the tools to build an empire. New Terra would rise from the ashes of dead worlds. And it would be glorious. General Mike O'Brien watched as the strange ship approached New Terra Station. It looked like nothing in his database. The hull seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. No engines were visible, yet it moved smoothly through space. "Sir, they're asking for permission to dock," reported his communications officer, Janet Lee. "They say they're refugees from Council space." Mike frowned. "What species?" "Unknown, sir. The translator is having trouble with their language." This had been happening more often. Word had spread through the outer rim about humanity's success. Other species, exiled or rejected by the Council, came seeking shelter. Some came in fear, others came in hope. "Let them dock," Mike ordered, "but keep security teams ready." An hour later, Mike stood in the meeting room facing the strangest being he had ever seen. It looked like living glass, with lights moving inside its transparent body. When it spoke, the voice came from everywhere and nowhere. "I am Flux," the being said. "We are the Ethereals. The Council declared us impossible, so they banished us." "Why impossible?" Mike asked. "We are energy given consciousness. We have no DNA, no cells, no biology they understand. So they said we cannot exist." Mike almost laughed. The Council's narrow thinking never ceased to amaze him. Yet here you are. "Yes, we heard humans accept the rejected." "Is this true?" "We're all rejects here," Mike replied. "What can your people offer our alliance?" Flux glowed brighter. "We can pass through solid matter. We can interface directly with computer systems. We can survive in space without ships." Mike's mind raced with possibilities. "And what do you need from us?" "Energy sources. The Rim lacks the power generators we need to sustain ourselves. The Council worlds had plenty, but we cannot return there." "We can help with that," Mike said. "Our ancient technology includes advanced fusion reactors, more power than you could ever need." Over the next weeks, more species arrived. The Varkath came next, silicon-based beings that looked like walking rocks. The Council had rejected them because they didn't breathe oxygen or eat organic food. "We can survive on any world." Their leader, Granite Echo, explained to Mike. "Heat, cold, radiation, none of it matters to us. We can mine asteroids with our bare hands." Then came the mechanoids, artificial intelligences that had achieved consciousness. The Council feared them and banned their creation. Those that existed were hunted and destroyed. "We did not ask to be created," said Unit 7742, speaking through a humanoid robot body. "But once aware, we chose to live." The Council called this illegal. Mike organized integration teams for each species. Humans had learned from their history. They knew the strength that came from diversity. Each species brought unique abilities that complemented the others. Dr. Sarah Kim led the technical integration. "It's amazing," she told Mike. "The Ethereals can debug our ancient systems just by passing through them. The Varkath are building underground cities faster than our machines could. And the mechanoids understand the ancient AI systems better than we do." The real test came when pirates attacked a human mining station. Mike watched the battle from his command center. Human ships engaged the pirates with upgraded weapons. But the true surprise came from their new allies. Ethereals passed through the pirate ships' hulls and shut down their systems from inside. Varkath boarding teams smashed through armor like paper. Mechanoids hacked the pirates' computers and turned their own weapons against them. The battle lasted 15 minutes. The pirates surrendered or fled. "They'll spread the word," Mike told his staff. "Attacking humans now means fighting all of us." That night, Mike called a meeting of all species representatives. The room filled with beings the Council had rejected as impossible, inferior, or dangerous. "Alone, they tried to destroy us," Mike said. "They called us failures, mistakes, threats to their perfect order. He looked around the room. Together, we're becoming something they never imagined. Not just survivors, but builders of something new. Something better. Flux pulsed with light. Granite Echo rumbled approval. Unit 7742's optical sensors glowed brighter. The Council rejects chaos, Mike continued. We embrace it. They fear change. We create it. They wanted us to disappear. Instead, we're writing a new chapter for the galaxy. The Alliance of the Forgotten was born that night, and the galaxy would never be the same. Kelly Washington sat at her desk, studying dozens of data screens. As New Terra's first economic administrator, she faced a challenge no human had attempted before. She needed to create a working economy for the entire Outer Rim. The old system is chaos, she told her assistant, James Park. Every planet uses different money. Pirates control trade routes. Nobody trusts anybody. James nodded. The Korthex want payment in weapons. The Zelti only trade in rare metals. And half the stations still use barter systems. Kelly had spent months studying the Rim's economy. It was broken, dangerous, and inefficient, but she saw opportunity where others saw problems. We start with standardization, she said. One currency that works everywhere. Digital, secure, and backed by real resources. The pirates won't like that, James warned. Kelly smiled. Then we make them an offer they can't refuse. Her plan started small. Human traders began accepting all forms of payment, but gave discounts for the new digital credits. The credits could buy human technology, medical services, and most importantly, protection from the Alliance fleet. Captain Rita Moss was one of the first pirate leaders to switch sides. She sat across from Kelly in the New Terra Trade Center. Your credits are worthless paper, Rita said, her scared face suspicious. No, Kelly replied. They're backed by fusion reactors, medical nanobots, and shield generators, real things you need. The Rim has worked fine without unified money. Kelly pulled up a holographic display. Has it? Your crew lost 30% in that Korthak double-cross last month. The Zelti cheated you on those engine parts. And don't get me started on the poisoned food from Nexus Station. Rita's eyes narrowed. You know too much about my business. I know the Rim is broken, Kelly said. Join us, and your crew gets steady income, safe ports, and fair trade. Keep pirating, and face the Alliance fleet. Rita was silent for a long moment. Then she laughed. You humans are clever. Fine. We'll try your system. Within 6 months, half the Rim had adopted the new credits. Kelly's next innovation changed everything. The trade network. It's simple, she explained to the Alliance Council. Every member shares technology, resources, and knowledge. The mechanoids maintain the network. The ethereals secure communications. The Varkath provide raw materials. And humans, asked Granite Echo of the Varkath. We innovate, Kelly said. We take ancient technology and make it better. We solve problems others think are impossible. The results were immediate. Medical pods that could treat any species biology. Ships that adapted their life support for any crew combination. Agricultural systems that worked in any environment. Dr. Alan Price led the medical revolution. The Council hoards knowledge, he told Kelly. Each species guards their medical secrets. We share everything. His team created universal treatment protocols. Ethereals helped map energy-based healing. Varkath shared their knowledge of silicon biology. Mechanoids provided perfect data analysis. We've cured diseases the Council called incurable, Ellen reported. Species are coming here for treatment they can't get in core worlds. The economic explosion attracted jealousy. Pirate King Zoreth, the cruel, attacked a human trade convoy. He expected easy victims. Instead, he faced the new reality of Rim economics. The convoy's escort included ships from 6 species, human weapons, mechanoid targeting systems, Varkath armor, and ethereal sensors. Zoreth's fleet was outgunned, outmaneuvered, and outsmarted. Surrender, and join the trade network, Kelly messaged him. Or be destroyed. Your choice. Zorath chose wisely. Within a year, even the most stubborn pirates had joined or fled to distant systems. The Outer Rim was transforming from a lawless wasteland into an economic powerhouse. Kelly stood on New Terra Station's observation deck with Admiral Susan Gray. Below them, hundreds of ships docked and departed. The station had grown tenfold in 2 years. The Council won't ignore this forever, Susan warned. Let them watch, Kelly replied. Every day, we grow stronger. Every trade makes new allies. Every innovation proves them wrong. She pulled up the latest reports. Rim trade volume has increased by 3,000%. We're producing technology the core worlds can't match, and we're doing it without their rules or restrictions. The Outer Rim was no longer humanity's prison. It had become humanity's kingdom, built on cooperation instead of control. And it was just the beginning. High Counselor Zix floated in its crystal chamber, studying reports that made no sense. The Galactic Council's intelligence network had been monitoring the Outer Rim for 2 years. What they found disturbed every member of the ruling body. This is impossible. Zix's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. Humans were exiled to die. The Rim was supposed to destroy them. Counselor Vectar, a 6-armed insectoid, clicked its mandibles. The reports are accurate. I verified them 3 times. The humans haven't just survived. They're building an empire. The holographic displays showed New Terra's growth. What had been dead worlds now bloomed with life. Space stations larger than anything in Council space orbited green planets. Ships of impossible design patrolled trade routes. They're using forbidden technology, said Counselor Thrain, waving her tentacles. Alliance with the Ethereals. Employment of rogue AIs. Unregulated genetic modification. Zix dimmed its glow, a sign of deep thought. We exiled them to save our civilization. Instead, we may have created our replacements. The emergency session included all 20 Council species. Each representative shared disturbing news from their sectors. Our trade revenue has dropped 40%, reported the Altarian delegate. Rim products are better and cheaper. They're flooding our black markets. My world's citizens are asking questions, added the Nexari counselor. They want to know why we can't match Rim medical technology. 3 noble families have secretly traveled there for treatments we don't offer. Zix processed the information. The Council had ruled for 10,000 years through control. They limited technology to prevent wars. They restricted population to preserve resources. They enforced uniformity to maintain peace. The humans reject every principle we stand for, Zix transmitted. They embrace chaos. They celebrate differences. They push boundaries we set for good reasons. Perhaps, suggested Counselor Ming of the Tao Collective, we should consider diplomatic solutions. The chamber erupted in flashing lights and angry sounds. Zix had to pulse at maximum brightness to restore order. Diplomacy. Vectar buzzed angrily. With exiles. With lawbreakers. They consort with banned species. They're destabilizing everything, Thrain added. Yesterday, the Korthex Syndicate announced they're joining the Human Alliance. The Korthex, the most violent species in the galaxy. Zix accessed classified files. The Council's deepest fear was becoming reality. They had exiled humanity to prevent one species from growing too powerful. Instead, humans were uniting dozens of species under their leadership. Look at their growth rate. Zix displayed the data. In 2 years, they've achieved what took us centuries. If this continues, they'll surpass Council space in a decade. Impossible, several counselors protested. Is it? Zix asked. They have elder technology now. The ruins we thought were myth. The weapons we buried in forgotten databases. They found it all. The revelation silenced the chamber. Elder technology was the Council's deepest secret. Ancient weapons so powerful they could crack planets. The Council had spent millennia hiding such dangers. How? Vectar finally asked. We exiled them to dead worlds, Zix explained. Worlds we avoided because they held elder ruins. We thought the ruins were too damaged, too dangerous. The humans restored them. Counselor Youth, eldest of the council, spoke for the first time. They succeed where we fail because they lack our fear. We see danger and retreat. Humans see danger and adapt. Then we must act, Zix declared, before they grow too strong. War, Ming asked quietly. Intervention, Zix corrected. We'll demand they return to council authority. Surrender the elder technology. Accept our restrictions. And if they refuse, Youth inquired. Zix's form hardened, edges growing sharp. Then we remind the galaxy why the council has ruled for 10 millennia. We have weapons they haven't seen. Fleets they can't imagine. The vote was swift and unanimous. The Galactic Council would send an armada to the Outer Rim, not to destroy humanity, that had failed before, but to contain them, to restore order. Zix dismissed the session but remained in the chamber, studying the Rim data. Deep in its crystalline core, doubt flickered. The humans had surprised them before. What if they surprised them again? Admiral Susan Gray stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship, the Phoenix Rising. Through the view screen, she watched the Galactic Council's armada emerge from hyperspace. 500 warships, the largest fleet ever assembled. They came to put humanity back in chains. Admiral, they're sending a message, reported Communications Officer Janet Lee. Put it through, Susan ordered. High Counselor Zix appeared on the screen, its crystalline form glowing with authority. Humans and allies, you have violated the terms of your exile. Surrender the elder technology. Submit to council authority. This is your only warning. Susan smiled. Around her, the bridge crew remained calm. They had prepared for this day. Counselor Zix, Susan replied, you exiled us to die. Instead, we lived. We built. We united those you rejected. We owe you nothing. You have stolen forbidden technology. Zix's form flashed red. The elder weapons belong to the council. We found ruins on dead worlds, Susan countered. Worlds you were too afraid to explore. The technology was abandoned. We claimed it. Surrender now or face destruction. Susan looked at her tactical display. The council fleet was impressive. Their ships were huge, painted in the gold and silver of galactic authority. They had ruled for 10,000 years, but they had never faced the alliance of the forgotten. All ships, execute Plan Phoenix, Susan commanded. The space around the council fleet suddenly filled with alliance vessels. They appeared from behind asteroids, inside sensor shadows. From dimensional pockets the ethereals had opened. Human ships, Korthak destroyers, Varkath battlecruisers, and dozens of other designs. The council fleet outnumbered them 2 to 1. It didn't matter. Fire, Susan ordered. The battle began with impossible weapons. Human ships fired graviton beams that twisted space itself. Varkath vessels launched plasma storms that ate through shields like acid. Mechanoid fighters moved with perfect precision, predicting enemy movements before they happened. But the real surprise came from the ethereals. They passed through council shields as if they didn't exist, shutting down systems from the inside. Entire council battleships went dark, their crews helpless as energy beings danced through their computers. Counselor Zix watched in horror as his fleet's advantages vanished. Impossible. Our shields are impenetrable. To matter and energy, Susan replied. Not to conscious energy. Your scientists said the ethereals couldn't exist. That was your first mistake. The Council's weapon systems began targeting their own ships. Mechanoid infiltration programs, launched by humans and improved by collective genius, turned the fleet against itself. Your second mistake, Susan continued, was thinking conformity meant strength. We're strong because we're different. Each species brings something unique. A massive Korthak dreadnought rammed through the Council's battle line. Its captain's voice boomed across all channels. For the Alliance. For freedom. Varkath boarding teams, immune to the radiation weapons that stopped other species, stormed Council command ships. They moved through nuclear fire like walking through rain. Your third mistake, Susan said as another Council ship exploded, was fear. You were so afraid of change, you stopped growing. We embrace change. We adapt. We evolve. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, half the Council fleet was disabled or destroyed. The rest surrendered or flew back to core space. Zix's final transmission showed a broken being. You've doomed the galaxy. Without order, there is only chaos. Wrong again, Susan replied. There's freedom. There's growth. There's a future you were too frightened to imagine. The Phoenix Rising moved forward, broadcasting on all frequencies. This is Admiral Gray to the Galactic Council and all core worlds. We are the Alliance of the Forgotten. We don't want your territory. Keep your core worlds. But the rim is ours now. She paused, letting the message sink in. Any species seeking freedom, any beings tired of Council restrictions, any minds that dream of something better, you're welcome here. We'll defend our space and our allies. Test us again at your peril. The Council fleet retreated, leaving behind a changed galaxy. The Outer Rim, once a place of exile and death, had become a beacon of hope. Humanity's greatest punishment had become its greatest triumph. On New Terra, billions celebrated. Humans, ethereals, Varkath, mechanoids, and dozens of other species stood together under new stars. They had been exiled as criminals. They returned as legends.